It's frustrating. It never recorded my first attempt. So I'm going to go over these 3 problems one more time. Oh my goodness. So let me erase all these real quick. These are some fun problems. If you can learn by just looking at the completed notes, that's great. But I think it really helps to hear someone going over them. So I'm going to go over these again. I did the whole recording, but just not sure. Maybe my iPad didn't have enough room. I just checked it, so I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't get saved. I will be so upset. But, all right, I'm almost done erasing. Okay, so 3 problems, and they're very similar. They're application problems where we are using given slope and a point to find the other y value. All right, let's look at a couple of these together. Suppose that the monthly cost of a phone plan in dollars is a linear function of the total calling time in minutes. With the slope of, so first thing you're going to always highlight is the slope. They're going to give you the slope. It's opposite because we usually have to find the slope ourselves, but they're giving us that the slope is 0.15 here. So we're going to find something else this time. The monthly cost for, let me highlight something else. 150 minutes of call is $40.49. All right, we have to talk about dependent and independent variable. Now, do you agree with me if I say your phone bill depends on how much you use? At least in this situation, I got unlimited plan, so it doesn't matter how many minutes I use. But in this problem, the phone bill depends on how many minutes you use. So phone bill is a dependent variable, okay? Phone bill is a dependent variable, okay? And number of minutes is the independent variable. So X variable is number of minutes, and Y variable is the phone bill, the amount in dollars. So when I write the order pair, I'm going to go ahead and write 150 first. That's the X value. And $40.49. Not just because 150 came up first in this word problem. Because phone bill, this is a dependent variable. Dependent variable, because phone bill depends on the number of minutes you use, and dependent variables are the Y values. Okay, hope that made sense. So let me keep on reading. What is the monthly cost for 120 minutes of call? Now what they are giving you is the other X value. 220 is the number of minutes. That's why I put it in the X's position. But they're asking you, what's the Y value for 220? Let's go ahead and write Y2, because that's the second Y value. We're missing that value. Now, I remember we went over the step formula. M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. We're going to plug in all the things that we have here. M is 0.15. So put 0.15 on the left side of the equal sign. On top of the equal sign, we need to subtract the Y values. So do Y2 minus 40.49. Y2 minus 40.49 on top of the fraction. In the bottom of the fraction, subtract the X values. X values are 220 minus 150. So do 220 minus 150. Okay? I'm going to copy down the same exact thing down. I'm just going to subtract the bottom of the fraction, okay? Y2 minus 40.49, nothing changed. But if I do 220 minus 150, you can use your baby calculator. That should be 70. Oh, I'm going to need a calculator for the next part. Now, after that, to get rid of this fraction, I will multiply both sides by 70. Okay, while I'm there, let me double check my arithmetics, because who knows? Yeah, it's 70. Multiply both sides by, I'll write that down, 70. If you do that, multiply this side by 70, multiply this side by 70. I'm typing in 70 times 0.15 on my calculator, and that got me 10.5. So the left side of the equal sign is 10.5. The right side of the equal sign, the 70 cancels out, leaving you only with y2 minus 40.49. We're almost done, you guys. The last thing that you're going to do is, let me move the work over here because I don't have much room. 10.5 equals y2 minus 40.49. I just copied the whole thing over here. Last thing is that we're going to add 40.49 to both sides so that we have y2 by itself. So your final answer, y2 equals 10.5 plus 40.49. What did you get? I got $50.99. So that is how you can do this. Now, if you learn by just looking at this one example, then I guess you can stop the video and try the Alex homework problems. But what I know is I'm going to put this word problem, this type of word problem on your exam 1. So continue watching if you want more examples, okay? Our example number 2 over here. Shauna is driving to North Carolina. Suppose that the remaining distance to drive is a linear function of her driving time with a slope of negative 0.8. Now let's think about this. The number, so she's driving, right? And what we are interested in is how many miles do we still have to drive? Like remaining distance to drive. So if she's been driving for 5 hours, then probably the remaining distance is like 0, okay? But can you see that the remaining distance, this is a dependent variable, right? Dependent variable, because the remaining distance depends on the number of minutes she's been driving. The more she drove, the less distance she still needs to drive. So when I'm writing down the ordered pair, I'm going to go ahead and say miles as my, I'm very sorry, I made a mistake. Minutes as my x value, that's my independent variable, and miles is going to be my dependent variable, okay? Well, let me go ahead and highlight what they gave me first. Slope is negative 0.5, and it makes sense that the slope is negative because the more you drive, the less distance is left, right? The less distance remains. So write down m equals negative 0.8. I just kind of put that as on the side. Now, let me go ahead and keep on reading. What are they giving us? She has 40 miles remaining after 45 minutes of driving. So if I write that as an ordered pair, you guys, I'm going to have to write down 45 first in the x's position because that's the 45 minutes. And 40 miles remaining, that's the y value. I know in the word problem, 40 appeared first, but 40 miles is a dependent variable. The number of miles is a dependent variable. So we have to be careful over here. This one was very tricky. All right, let's keep reading. They said, how many miles will be remaining after 58 minutes of driving? So I'm going to go ahead and write the second order pair. 58 minutes. We put the minutes as the x variable. So write down 58 first. And then number of miles is unknown, so write down y2 there, okay? And we're ready to do m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Guys, I'm getting really worried about this video not saving. I may stop this, I don't know. I'll just keep on going. All right, let's plug in everything we have. M is negative 0.8, okay? And if you do the y2 minus y1 on top of the fraction, I will have y2 minus 40. y2 minus 40. Draw the fraction bar. In the bottom of the fraction, let's do 58. 58 minus 45. 58 minus 45. All right. Bring down the work. Negative 0.8 equals y2 minus 40. And that's over. What is 58 minus 45? Is that 8? Oh, oopsie, see, 13. 13. All right, let's multiply both sides by what number? 13. Multiply by that denominator of 13. If I do 13 times negative 0.8, I get negative 10.4. And the 13 and 13 cancels out, and we have y2 minus 40. The only thing that I need to do is add 40. Negative 10.4 equals y2 minus 40. Add 40 to both sides. What I get is that y2 is equal to 40 minus 10.4. What's that? Guys, I got 29.6 miles. So if she drives 58 minutes, she's still going to have to drive 29.6 miles. Okay? I don't know. Are you guys okay with this so far? Because the third one is exactly the same. Okay, if you got it, you can stop watching and just jump right into your homework problems. But if you need the third one, I'm going to go over this now. Okay? All right. The height in centimeters of a candle is a linear function of the amount of time. So what we're thinking is this. The longer you burn your candle, the shorter your candle will be, right? So what they gave us, the slope of negative 0.45, that makes sense. Slope is negative because the longer you burn this candle, the shorter your candle will be. So I'm going to write down m equals negative 0.45. When you are doing these word problems, just highlight or write down the important things that you're going to use, okay? Suppose that the height of the candle after 14 hours is 24 centimeters. I'm going to highlight those two numbers. 14 hours, 24 centimeters. So the input is hours because that's the independent variable. And for me, it's always think about what is dependent variable first, because dependent variable depends on something. The height of the candle depends on the number of hours we've been burning this thing. So 24 is a dependent variable. The height is the dependent variable. So I got that order pair. So it's going to be a big, whoopsie if you switch the order. So, when you're doing your Alex homework, if you're consistently missing this, we can have a conversation about dependent and independent variable again. All right, what will be the height of the candle after, what's the second order pair they're giving us? 15 hours, okay? So 15, I will write that in the independent variable position, the x's position, and we're still looking for y2. I cannot remember if there is a homework problem that's asking you for the x variable, the x value. You may get one. That's going to be a fun, challenging problem since I'm only going over the ones they're asking for the y2 value. All right, let's set up the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If I plug in everything I have, negative 0.45 equals, all right, what are the y values? y2 minus 24. y2 minus 24. Over, let's subtract the x's and put that in the bottom. 15 minus 14. Hey, that's easy. 15 minus 14. So negative 0.45 is equal to y2 minus 24. Because the bottom of the fraction is what? 1 anyways, right? So I can ignore that. All right, last step. Add 24 to both sides. I'll just go ahead and make a note. This is just 1. That's why I don't have to multiply both sides by 1. But technically, you can still do that. All right. y2 equals, let me use my calculator to do the subtraction. 24 minus 0.45 equals 23.55. And were they measuring this in inches or centimeters? Centimeters. So after burning this candle for 15 hours, we still have 23.55 centimeters left of this candle. So I think that's enough. What I will ask you to do now is go into Alex and work on sections 1.4 and, oh, my Apple Pencil is low on battery. 1.5 objectives. That's your weekly homework. You have about, I think, 13 topics in this week's homework. So start working early. This is due the night before our next class meeting. So this is the end for our online portion of week